Hey guys, so I want to do some informative videos on how to help you with reading your deck pages and your automobile policies when you have them. It's very difficult for insurance adjusters to go over all this information that you really need to know when looking at your auto policy. So this first video I'm going to do is just reviewing your deck page to see what kind of coverage that you have. So this is a Geico deck page. As you can see, I've blacked out any personal information. If you go down, this is where you see the type of coverage that you have purchased, okay? The named insureds, how many other additional drivers in your household, which we'll talk about later, and how that applies to different coverages in more depth, and what vehicles are insured. Then it tells you the coverages that you have, the limits and deductibles that you have, and the cost for each coverage that you're paying for and your total premium. So this particular policy has bodily injury liability coverage, which we're going to go into later, of $20,000 per person, $40,000 per accident. They have property damage liability coverage of $25,000, personal injury protection coverage, which is $10,000 minimum in Florida, which is what they have, with a $1,000 deductible. And they have rejected uninsured motorist coverage, okay? I'm going to bring another policy in from Progressive that I've looked at. They have a couple different coverages that they purchased. They also have the bodily injury liability coverage of $50,000, $100 each accident, $50 per person. Property damage liability of $50,000 per accident. The personal injury protection of $10,000 with a $1,000 deductible. They too rejected which we're going to talk about later why it's so important that you don't do that. They purchased MedPay coverage, which is additional coverage to pay the deductible and the 20% that the PIP doesn't pay for, which we'll go over later, and that was rejected. They purchased $2,000 per person. They have comp and collision coverage as well with the $500 deductible. This is the purchase coverage for your own vehicle, okay? And they have a rental reimbursement as well and roadside assistance. So you can see the differences between the coverage on this Progressive policy and the coverage on this Geico policy. This Geico policy doesn't have the MedPay, they don't have the comp and collision, and they don't have the rental reimbursement either. So please do yourself a favor, look at these coverages. If you have any questions about the coverage in your policy and what it means, just shoot me a message. I have no problem talking to you about it. I'm going to briefly tell you what these things are, and then we're going to go in other videos more in depth about what all these coverages mean. But the bodily injury liability coverage is what, if you're at fault and you injure someone, that's the coverage that they go after. And this person has $20,000 per person, $40,000 per accident. The property damage liability is if you're at fault, what the person that wasn't at fault can get from your insurance company to pay for their car. And this person has $25,000 available for them, okay? Then we have the personal injury protection, which is your benefit to use if you get hurt, whether at fault or not at fault. It's called no fault coverage, and you can use it up to $10,000. And this person has a $1,000 deductible. And then the can be used if you are hurt in an accident that's not your fault, and the person that is at fault doesn't have bodily injury coverage sufficient enough to pay for your injuries, medical bills, out-of-pockets, and pain and suffering. So that was a lot of information for one video. I hope it helped. Please reach out. Let me know if you need any questions answered regarding your policy, and I'll be more than happy to help you out. Have a great day. Always remember, for your legal team, call Kemp, Green, your auto accident team.